Shalom, everybody. Where are we today? Anybody walk here? Get some bracing breezes? No? You walked from Pension. How far did you walk?
And how far did you get? And how far did you get blown?
You walk from next door from me.
Gosh. Better bring a cardiologist in. Wow. Okay. I trust everybody's recovering from Passover. Yeah.
I'm still on the matzahs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put away those dishes. Yeah, we still have to do that. Right, so Shabbat Shalom, and we're on page 122. And could you all please stand? Surrounded by members of our community. With them we share our happiness, and it becomes greater. Our troubles, and they become smaller. May we never be too mean to give, nor too proud to receive. For in giving and receiving we discover you and begin to understand the meaning of life. Let us not separate ourselves from the true strength of our community, the experience and wisdom of old people, the hopes of the young, and the examples of care and courage which sustain us. Give us an open mind and a generous heart to welcome those who need us and to admit your presence into our daily life. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the strength that comes to us through our community. We should revere God in all that we do, privately as well as publicly. Acknowledge the truth and speak it in our hearts. Bon kol ha'olamim, lo al sikotenu anachnu mapilim tachanunenu lefanecha, ki al rachamecha harabim, ma anachnu, me chayenu, me chastenu, ma yeshuatenu, ma tzidkenu, ma kochenu, ma givuratenu, ma nomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu, halo kol hagiborim ka'ayin lefanecha, v'anshei Hashem kalo hayu, v'achamim kivli mada, u'vonim kivli haskel, ki rov ma'asenu tov, v'imei chayenu, hevel lefanecha, u'matar ha'adam min ha'behema ayin, ki hakol havel. Nevertheless, we are your people, children of your covenant, and called to your service. Therefore, it is right that we should thank and praise you, to proclaim your holiness and daily say before you. Sovereign of the universe, worshipped by your people, lauded and glorified by those who love and serve you. With songs of praise we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty, sole source of the life of all worlds. We praise you, sovereign God, to whom all praise is due. At dawn and dusk I seek you, reach out and look to you. With soul athirst I yearn for you. I am a beggar at your door. The galaxies cannot contain you, yet you dwell in my inmost being. I hold your glory in my heart. My love for you exceeds my speech. So I will praise your name, Eternal One, as long as your breath of life remains within me. Praise be the Eternal One forever. Amen and amen. Praise be the Eternal God, the God of Israel, who does wonderful things. Let God's glorious name be praised forever, and let the whole earth be filled with God's glory. Amen and amen. generations of all creatures, to whom our praise ascends, to guide the world with constant love, your children with tender care. To you alone we give thanks. That though our mouths should overflow with song as the sea, our tongues with exultation as the roaring waves, and our lips with praise as heaven's wide expanse, and though our eyes shine as the sun and moon, and our arms spread forth like the wings of eagles, and our feet speed swiftly as hinds, still we could not fully thank you, eternal God, for your infinite kindness to our ancestors and to us. Therefore, the limbs you have formed in us, the spirit you have breathed into us, and the tongue you have set in our mouths, all shall unite to thank and praise, extol you, and exalt you, the sovereign Lord. Every mouth shall thank you, every tongue bear witness to you, every knee shall bend to you, every body bow down to you, every heart shall revere you, and every fiber of our being shall sing your praise, for so it is written. All my bones shall say, who is like you, eternal one? Therefore we extol you and proclaim your glory, and praise your holy name, as it is said, praise the eternal one, O my soul. Let all that is within me praise God's holy name. Yishtabach Shimcha la'at Malkeinu, Ha'el ha'melech ha'kadol ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Ki l'chanai Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Cherush v'cha, Halel v'zimra, Brachot v'hoda'ot, Me'ata ba'Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai, Habocher v'sidrei zimra. And let's continue on page 135. Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach. And please be seated. We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God. With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of the lights. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. Chemla Gedola B'terach Amata. Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Ba'avor Avotenu Shebatchu V'chai, Vatlamdeim Chukei Chayim, Ken Tikunenu Utlamdeinu, Ten Blibenu Lavinu L'Haskil, Shmoa, Lilmod, Ulamed, Lishmor V'La'asot, Ukayem Et Kol Divrei Toratecha B'Hava, V'Ha'ereinenu B'Toratecha, V'Dabek Libenu B'Mitzvotecha, Yached levavenu lahava uyira et shemecha. Kivanu varcharta, Yechedecha b'haba. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamocher ba'amo Yisrael b'ahava. And let's stand. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlevtecha b'derech u'sholtecha uv'kumecha v'pshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotachot beinecha uv'tatam la'mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha. Please be seated. Sound, established, and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer. As you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors, you are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. And then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Chadasha shivachu ge'olim l'shimcha al sfat hayam yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'amru.
Thank you.
Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor B'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Zocher Chasdei Avot V'imavot, Umevi Ula Livnei B'neihem, Ma'an Shmo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, L'chaim Eitim atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Mori HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Mori HaTal, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayim Eitim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofel Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, Kayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umi Domelach, Melech Me'mitu Chayei U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emonatal HaChayot Metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaMetim. We sanctify your name on earth as in the prophet's vision. The hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Kavodo Malei Olam. Baruch Kavod Adonai, Komach Malkeinu Tofia, V'tim Loch Aleinu, Ki Mechakim Anachnu Lach. Imloch Adonai Adonai Tzion, Le'komoto Hallelujah. From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Please be seated. We inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn in you that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness, consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good. May our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness. Gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. Their worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship and reverence. Modi manach melach, sha'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu leolam va'ed. Sur chayenu mageinu shenu, atahu ledor vador. Nodel achaun saper tilatecha, al chayenu hamizerim biadecha, vol nishmotenu hapakadot lach, viol nisecha shebechol yom imanu, vol niflotecha b'togotecha, shebechol eit erev v'aboker v'tzocharayim, baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha ulachana elahotot. Grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people, as a loving parent. Bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, both of kindness, righteousness, blessing, mercy, life, and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Let's turn over now for Kriyat Torah, Kriyat HaTorah on page 481 for our Torah service. There is none like you, eternal one among the God's people worship. There are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your reign endures from age to age. Eternal one, you reign, you have reigned, you will reign forever. Eternal God, give strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one. Let's just magnify the Eternal One. Together, let's just exalt God's name. Well, I know we have at least one April birthday. Any other April birthdays?
Felicity told me it's her birthday.
Come on, Felicity.
Can I ask two men to hold up Jeffrey and...
Or two women.
Well, we need tall ones. Can I ask Jeffrey
Yeah, Felicity,
and
you're the
John
tallest
to
woman.
hold the tally, because I don't want to hold my hands above my head.
John.
Look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have an April 9th, yes? It's the day before my son Lewis, who's on April 10th. And what other days in April do we have?
I'm the 12th, so quite close.
The 21st.
That's my father and his sister and his sister's grandson and an uncle on the other side of the family and the Queen.
Oh, here we go.
It's contagious.
I knew there was a bit of royalty about there. Gosh, I always wondered. Well, as you know, as I hope you know, it's not the rabbi who blesses you. It's the rabbi who asks God to bless you. Right? You know, I'm just right. Speaking of the Queen. So, on the occasion of your recent birthdays, I'm wishing you three great health and enjoyment wherever you are, whatever you do in your endeavors. And we have at least two musicians here, possibly a third. So Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless each of you and keep you. May God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. And may God reach out to each of you in tenderness and give you peace and quiet and tranquility and only good praise. Mazel tov. Well, we're in the heart of Leviticus, literally and figuratively. Those of you who are a bit squeamish, I've done my best to try and not choose the worst bits. There is a bit of blood, however. And the context is lots of laws about blood, animals, females, and all kinds of stuff about sexual prohibitions and keeping the tribe together and behaving in a certain way. We get through all that, and next week we have really the highlight, the very middle of the scroll, Kedoshim, which takes a completely different tact, which is why we choose to read it on Yom Kippur. It's not ethics. It's about behavior towards the vulnerable. It's not about ritual. And it's in the everyday, the marketplace, in court, finding, your neighbors, whether they're Hebrews or not. It's irrelevant. So we move very quickly from the highly particular to the highly universal. And, at some level we need both. We're always struggling to find that balance. But generally the preference is for the universal. And as liberal Jews, that is our choice, and we should take it. So I'm reading Leviticus today. I'm reading today chapter 17. Hold on here. Chapter 17, verse 13, which is on page 714 in the Sanchino, up to chapter 18, verse 5, which goes over a couple of pages. And chapter 17, verse 13 in the JPSA is on the top of page 183. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein Torah. And if any Israelite or any stranger who resides among them hunts down an animal or a bird that may be eaten, he shall pour out its blood and cover it with earth. For the life of all flesh, its blood is its life. Therefore I say to the Israelite people, you shall not partake of the blood of any flesh, for the life of all flesh is its blood. Anyone who partakes of it shall be cut off. Any person, whether citizen or stranger, who eats what has died or has been torn by beasts, shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain unclean until evening. Then he shall be clean. But if he does not wash his clothes and bathe his body, he shall bear his guilt. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelite people and say to them, I, the Lord, am your God. You shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt where you dwelt, or of the land of Canaan to which I am taking you. Nor shall you follow their laws. My rules alone shall you observe, and faithfully follow my laws. I, the Lord, am your God. You shall keep my laws and my rules, by the pursuit of which man shall live. I am the Lord. Ish mi b'nei Yisrael, v'min hager hagar b'tocham, asher yatsud tzed chaya or of asher yachal, v'shafach et damo v'chisahu be'afar, ki nefesh kol basar damo b'nafsho. Hu v'omar libnei Yisrael dam kol basar lo tochenu, ki nefesh kol basar damo hu kol uchlav yikaret v'kol nefesh asher tochal nivla v'trefa nevela v'trefa v'ezrach uveged v'kibes v'gadad v'rachatz b'mayim v'tamei ad ha'erev v'tahor v'im lo yichabes uvsaro lo yerchatz v'nasa avonam. V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amarta alehem ani Adonai Elohechem K'ma'aseh Eretz Mitzrayim asher yashaptem ba lo ta'asu. Uchma'aseh Eretz Canaan asher ani mevi etchem shama lo ta'asu. Chukotehem lo telechu. Et mishpatai ta'asu. Ve'et chukotai tishamru. Lalechet bahem ani Adonai Elohechem. Ushmartem et chukotai ve'et mishpatai. Asher ya'aseh atem Adam v'chai bahem ani Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Let's learn. Please be seated.
The Haftorah portion today is from Jeremiah, chapter 11, verses 1 to 14. It is not in the Soncino, but in the JPSA it's on page 793. 793. This isn't a terrible portion of Jeremiah. Just a question really of wagging his finger and repeating the same old thing. You naughty, naughty children. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratzah b'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'torah u'b'moshe avdo u'b'Yisrael amo u'b'nevi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. The word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Hear the terms of this covenant, and recite them to the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say to them, Thus said the Lord, the God of Israel, Cursed be the man who will not obey the terms of this covenant, which I enjoined upon your fathers when I freed them from the land of Egypt, the iron crucible, saying, Obey me and observe them, just as I command you, that you may be my people, and I may be your God, in order to fulfill the oath which I swore to your fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey, as is now the case. And I responded, Amen, Lord. And the Lord said to me, Proclaim all these things through the towns of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem. Hear the terms of this covenant and perform them. For I have repeatedly and persistently warned your fathers from the time I brought them out of Egypt to this day, saying, Obey my commands. But they would not listen or give ear. They all followed the willfulness of their evil hearts. So I have brought upon them all the terms of this covenant, because they did not do what I commanded them to do. The Lord said to me, A conspiracy exists among the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They have returned to the iniquities of their fathers of old, who refused to heed my words. They too have followed other gods and served them. The house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken the covenant that I made with their fathers. Assuredly, thus said the Lord, I am going to bring upon them disaster from which they will not be able to escape. Then they will cry out to me, but I will not listen to them. And the townsmen of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem will go and cry out to the gods to which they sacrifice, but they will not be able to rescue them in their time of disaster. For your gods have become as many as your towns, O Judah, and you have set up as many altars to shame as there are streets in Jerusalem. altars for sacrifice to Baal. As for you, do not pray for this people. Do not raise a cry of prayer on their behalf, for I will not listen when they call to me on account of their disaster. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol ha'olamim, tzaddik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'osei, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Well, Paul, since you share a birthday with the Queen, I think it would be appropriate for you to read the paragraph on page 484.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family. For those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility, and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
And do we have a volunteer for the next paragraph?
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us, and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and to do your work.
And Maureen, we wish you strength
Thank you.
and renewal, something. I'm also aware of the passing of our former rabbi, Rabbi Harry Jacoby, on Wednesday morning. He served this community between 1975 and 1982. And I've written to Richard and Margaret, and also there's a liberal Judaism sort of a memory book started. I've written a contribution for that as well. And also Mark Phillips, who's one of the guiding lights, one of the forward thinkers in this Mosaic scheme. He lost his father, Malcolm, who's been ill for quite a while. Also, the wife of our former rabbi, Albert Friedlander, Evelyn, is very seriously ill. And I'm in touch with her and two of her daughters, Ariel and Michal. We've long been planning and working with Leovet College and UCL for a seminar next month on Albert Friedlander called Comprehension, Compassion, and Conciliation. And I just hope Evelyn is going to be able to make that conference on May 22nd at Leo Beck. And we have some really distinguished speakers coming, and it's the first time the college will have done anything in memory of Albert, who was the dean, and I just hope she can do that. And the prayer concerning Israel? Yeah.
Blessings to the state of Israel, greatest news to fill an age old dream, and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aim of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all the inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with the neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of that Zion shall go the Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Thank you. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Kinis Gav Shemo Levado. Let us praise the Eternal One, whose name alone is exalted. Precepts are right. God's commandments are clear. God's doctrine is pure. God's guidance is true. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Please be seated, everybody. Well, I don't think any of you were my victims yesterday, so I just want to recap what I spoke about yesterday and to carry on in that vein. As I've said many times, the Exodus story, we don't know if it happened just like that historically or not. That doesn't matter. There are truths about human behavior that are so relevant and so true, and especially so with respect to human behavior following trauma and the struggle to be emotional, responsible, and free adults. It's a struggle that in our own lives as individuals we constantly face, if we're honest. How to grow, how to be compassionate towards others despite our own pain. And that's indeed the struggle of any ethical religious person or secular person, regardless of faith or belief. And there are specific words for that in Islam, in Christianity, Buddhism, and so on, about that struggle to be a mensch. And we know that the Israelites in the Torah sometimes are capable of that, and lots of times they aren't. And we learn that all too often, pain often doesn't teach very much. So that's the struggle. And people that have been traumatized often behave very nastily towards others, towards outsiders, and also towards their own. And I want to recommend one of the best books I've read in ages. It's the Booker Prize winner for 2018 by Anna Burns, called Milkman. The torn cover reflects the fact that I'm schlepping it around with me everywhere. It is absolutely superb, by a very young writer from Northern Ireland, and it's about the Troubles and how within her own side of the road people behave towards each other in her own tribe and towards the other tribe. The book, linguistically, is so extraordinary. And those of you who are lovers of James Joyce, I wouldn't say that the text is nearly as opaque as Joyce, but there are some resemblances. And the names. You know, names are very important in Torah. Shakespeare. And it starts off, the third and fourth words, she's describing somebody McSomebody. And her boyfriend doesn't have a name. He's called, I believe, maybe boyfriend. Because of the lack of commitment on either part. So the writer, Anna Burns, makes up names, and she goes into tremendous detail about the role of gossip and rumor and tabloid reasoning and how the people in her group, they police each other. And there's also lots of stuff about names. You know, not just made up names, but you don't dare take a name that's used quite a bit by the other side of the road, because that would indicate an allegiance. And it even gets to the absurd point where her boyfriend, whose parents have vanished, and he takes over the family home, he's nuts about cars. And every single room is covered with car parts. I mean, it's, you know, boy's real home, yeah? And he buys and treasures a couple of parts from the engine of an old Bentley. Well, on his side of the road, the Bentley is seen as the archetypal English imperialist vehicle. And even though it sits in his house and he's going to work on it and learn from it, his friends condemn him for having the part of a Bentley motor car. I mean, there's a little Jewish behavior in there. And this is how it goes. And it's called The Milkman because the young woman, she's about 18, rumors start about how she's having an affair with a man who's much older. He's hassling her. But she has no interest in him whatsoever. And yet the rumors go and go and go. And her parents, her mother believes the rumors and not her daughter. And she's classified and put into a slot and abused because of what is completely false. So what is truth, what is not truth, what is reason, what is unreason, it all gets completely mixed up in this trauma, in this unhealed pain. I totally recommend this book. And it reads very quickly, and I think you can get it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds on Amazon if you want. Not that I'm in love with Amazon. Now, I want to go just a little bit further about the Northern Ireland situation. And if you'll forgive me, I want to share something on this that lasts about 1 minute. So the book that I just shared, I said yesterday, I referred to the situation in Israel. And I don't want to make too many analogies between Northern Ireland and Israel because, that's not what one does responsibly. But there is trauma in Israel, unhealed trauma of all kinds. It's led to certain things. And Israel's conduct, it's responsible for the results of the latest election. It's responsible for all sorts of things. And I said yesterday that I hope that one day there's a book written by a young Israeli woman about what happened in a certain time, how people behaved towards the other and towards themselves, and to look back at a time when maybe there was a little bit of healing, so there could be a proper reflection about that kind of behavior. It may not be in our lifetimes, or even in my children's lifetimes, but maybe one day. And so that's the hope. And I also mentioned that a bit of hope along those lines, a bit of pragmatic hope, that you don't know where it's going to come from. And I mentioned that, the little group that I'm obsessively involved with, EcoPeace, Monday morning, the directors, whom some of you have met, have been given a slot, invited to speak at the UN Security Council. And really putting truth to power to all those world leaders, how to use the phrase I'm going to play for you, how in God's name can this carry on? How can Palestinians blow up and ruin the lives of Israeli families? And how can Israeli soldiers carry on shooting and maiming teenage boys who are blindfolded and handcuffed, who are so afraid they start to run away? How can all that carry on? It's completely insane. So the directors, who some of you know, Gidon, Yana, and Nada, 2 young women, 1 man, have been invited to speak for 5 minutes each at the Security Council. So a couple months ago, I did the bit at the Vatican for EcoPeace, and now we go to the Security Council. There are huge risks. It is possible they could be completely demonized at home. Their personal safety will be endangered for being seen with the other. But perhaps there will be something, a voice, that will start to change things and call the leaders to account. And some of you have already seen it and heard it. But in Northern Ireland, after the death of that absolutely innocent young reporter, 29 years old, an absolutely humble, hesitant priest, called those politicians to account as they sat for her funeral in the cathedral, stony-faced. Have any of you seen the video yet? 1.5 minutes. And he, this humble parish priest, called them to account. I'm just going to play this. Left with the question. Why in God's name? And the crowd standing back stands, and the politicians are all caught sitting down stony-faced. Whether conservative, Labour, DUP, whatever they are. They're not leading. The leaders are not leading. Imagine that in a funeral. You can see the faces of the leaders.
The death of a 29-year-old woman with her whole life in front of her to get
Right. So he's referring to the failure of the Stormont, let's call it government or process, where Sinn Féin and the DUP are so broigus, so filled with hate and trauma, they can't sit down. And given the risks of Brexit, it is so important for them to sort things out. So this modest priest, like this autistic young lady in Germany, with respect to the environment, is calling the world to account. And I pray that on Monday morning at 10:15 in New York City, the Eco-Peace directors, nervous, worried about the risks, will call those leaders to account. And why can't we use water to create a bit more peace? Why must the environment wait? Why does peace have to wait? Amen. I just want to add by saying that Passover is a story of hope and against all the odds. And here we have these little bits of light from unexpected people. And that gives us hope. So let's now turn over with a little bit of cautious hope to the Elenian on page 520. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula v'yotzer breshit, asher sam chalkenu liyached et shelo, v'gor aleinu l'hamlich ma'alchuto. Moshav Yekaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei merumi, hu Eloheinu Eimod, emet malkeinu efes silato, kakatu b'torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elev avecha, ki Adonai Elohim b'shamayim mima'al, v'haaretz mitachat ein od. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule. We'll all invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete. When those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. And Adrian, we wish you strength and long life as you remember your father, Simon. And we remember Julian Paul Adams and Meyer Seidman and Rabbi Harry Jacoby and Malcolm Phillips. And would anyone like to mention the name of a loved one or friend?
Sylvia Newman.
Sylvia Newman.
Kevin's man. I think it's Kevin's man.
Yes, we read that last week, but we can say it again today. Sandra Zions. And give Kevin our best again. Yet in the emptiness their passing leaves behind, we are not alone. For we have the companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts. For what they were is part of what we have become. We honor them best when we live as they would wish, responsibly, happily, even in the shadow of our loss, and so draw closer to the source of life, in whom every life finds meaning, purpose, and hope. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Meirah, Ba'alma divrach irtei yamlich malchutei, V'chayechon yamechon, V'chayei dechol bet Yisrael, V'gala bizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yeheishmei Rabban bevorach le'olam u'lemei l'maya, Yitzvarach b'shtabach b'tvar b'termon v'naseh, V'tadar v'taleh v'talal shemei d'kudusha b'richu, Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechamata, Danon balma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu yal kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma, Hu yaseh shalom, Aleinu yal kol Yisrael, yal kol b'nei adam, v'imru, Amen. Let's be seated, everybody. And we have a Don Olam. Good luck this afternoon doing whatever you do or don't do with your Pesach dishes and accoutrement. And I hope you don't have too many boxes of matzah left over. We have way too many. I didn't need any this year. Didn't need anything this year. So maybe I'll find somebody to give it to. Yeah, so I don't know how long we have to wait downstairs. For downstairs.
In the meantime,
There's
a couple of few announcements. Firstly, we have candles here for Yom HaShoah Wednesday night. Please take one. They are sponsored by Maccabi. Please take one and light one. I believe there's a service here on Wednesday night?
I believe so,
Yeah,
and I plan on doing a study session to go with it.
Okay, that's 8 o'clock on, or 7 o'clock on
Ooh.
I think it's 7, isn't it?
Is it 7 or 7:30? Have a look in your, what's it called, Kahila.
Yeah. So, and lastly, next Friday night here, 7 o'clock is the contemplative service, taken by Esther Aronsfeld. Please all come along, it's a very special service. Please take, we're not offering, we're telling you to take. Find out when Kiddush is.
And if you want to have a quick look at this book while I'm just sort of, while we're waiting, please.
Thank you.
I think it's Lentil today.
Excellent.
Yeah. Could just leave them here and then just use them. That's it. Bara, this is interesting. Bara is the root.
About 5 minutes, everybody.
Ray sheet.
Kiddush downstairs in 5 minutes.
It means but is in. Reish comes from Rosh, which is the head. So it's literally saying in the beginning it's like the head. So what does that remind you of?
No, I really enjoyed it. It's there.
The curling of the head. So in the beginning, it echoes a birth.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It's so
So Bereshit bara, in the beginning, he created. So Bereshit is like Rosh. It's like Rosh Hashanah. The head of the year, birth of the year, the birth of a person. So if we look at it in a literary way, it's literature.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the religion stuff, just make it like that. I love the whole church stuff. That's such a lot. It's not like that. It feels so modern. It's crazy. I don't know. That's my
I hope we improve.
I just know that. I thought this was quite the other. I just think you're going to do a kind of music kind of thing. It's nice to play.
She was shot by the screen. Yeah.
It's very, no, it's quite united as well. That kind of,
As a journalist, she was doing her job.
yeah. No, I did.
It may just not be. It's not attached.
That's all I think.
Very sad.
Oh, because that's the guy that was stalking her.
My partner actually likes I like it.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Oh, it was the guy that was stalking her. Guys.
Yeah, it's great. I read a thing that said like on stage, like if you see people like singing the same tune, that's like you know they're connected, and whatever the words they're singing are basically irrelevant. It makes a lot of sense.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Did I hear that you're a musician, Frank said?
But I like music. I really like
Frank
it.
said
I
like
don't do anything.
people under the hood, but
I
two people
know,
musicians.
but I like singing.
I like you like singing.
Yeah, and I'm very into it.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I used to belong to a choir.
Oh.
I just don't do
I should
it.
get you singing, maybe.
Yeah,
We should
maybe, but
bring
I
you
just
in and do
enjoy it.
something.
I just enjoy it very much. You know, music and singing.
Cool.
We never know. Next time. Next time.
I should set up something community thing at some point.
All right. All the best. And happy birthday again. Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much.
What are you doing then? What's the gig?
It's just gone through the court society. I think it's the piano ferry.
I wrote in ink. There was a nasty thing about Latin in that book. And my teacher saw me doing it and made me
It's a bit of a
rub it
weird
out.
one, so I'm basically going
As long as you didn't get that,
Latin as a language is dead as dead.
So
First
that's
till
why
the
it's
Romans.
so
Now it's
so
killing
I
me.
had to fight
Yeah, I did make it up.
For me, it's a manuscript and it's meant to be engaged with, and I'm terrible.
Exactly.
Who's written that on a script?
Huh?
Who's that come from?
There you go.
You said you knew them.
Yeah, I do.
Six
They're just one
female music.
they've started coming a few times.
Don't remember where.
I'm not sure if they're.
It's all either really old or really new.
But I've seen them a few
And
times.
it's a lot of
I'm not
15th
actually.
century female composers and
That's great.
Shabbat shalom. All the
well,
best.
if you meet anyone who's
See you again,
you, so much of it.
Okay.
How long are you staying?
I heard some of those tunes when I was in the States at a huge synagogue.
Yay!
Ah, yeah.
In Dallas, 6,000 members.
Sorry, no, it sounds.
It's great.
That would have been louder than me. Yeah.
And there's still nobody in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. So it's
Thank you very much. It's alright, actually, I don't have to run. We've finished nice and early. So I might take. quickly have some food.
Yeah, it's not. It won't be that exciting. Well, it might be. It actually might be.
Everyone's overeating.
No, because it's well. I think according to people downstairs, it's still Passover. I mean, like, it's,
okay.
so it might. But let's have a look. Let's have a look.
If not, I've got lunch with me, so it's all okay.
I was going to say. It's fun, yeah. I had that sermon yesterday. It was slightly different, and I kind of.
How did yesterday go? I'm sorry I couldn't
Oh,
go
no,
yesterday.
it was tiny. There was like 4 people,
Wow.
which was fine. I did a very grandiose anthem, which was quite amusing because it was 4 people. It's funny to do big things in a really small. No, just Frank was a little bit more forthright about some stuff, and I kind of want to know who here today was he's worried about funding.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's because the same thing
It's
was.
very interesting that it was the same thing, but much more watered down.
I think it's a woman. Not how much, but I think it's a woman who's lived in it. I think maybe she's a bit more. Maybe feel the fact is, I think it's about that. It's probably.
I see.
I mean, I know that feeling. Like when you're saying something that you know someone's going to disagree with, you're sort of nervous about
Yes.
how someone to say it. Yeah,
Yes.
I've done that.